Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Real Trends. I am your host Geoff Exstrom and thank you so much for joining me here today. Before we get into it, I'd like to give a big shout out to everyone who either viewed, subscribed, and liked my first video last week of this new channel. The support has been awesome and it motivates me even more to create good quality videos for everyone. So big thank you to everyone who did that. You may have noticed that maybe the production value and whatnot wasn't the highest, but again, this is an experimental channel. We're going to try new things, we're going to get better at all this Adobe Suite stuff, so the stuff is going to get better and better, and so stick with me, it will pay off soon, but thank you so much for viewing last week and sticking with me on this week. But now, let's get into it. The box office results for June 7th through June 9th. So the box office results for June 7th through June 9th, landing at the top spot is what was predicted last week. It's The Secret Life of Pets 2, the animated feature starring Patton Oswalt, Harrison Ford, and Kevin Hart. Took home the box office champ. They made $46 million this weekend. It was below expectations of what the studio was hoping to get, but it lands at that top spot this week. And coming in at number 2 in the box office is Dark Phoenix, the last X-Men installment by Fox. Really was disappointed. It bombed at the box office. Came in at $32 million, short of its expectations. It was expected to get between 45 and 50 million. I even predicted 45 million, but it only came in at 32. Really disappointing. I saw it a couple nights ago. Story was, say the least. It really tailed off near the end. It really was kind of weird. I did not enjoy it. It got what it deserved in terms of reviews and box office results. But they come in at number 2 with 32 million, one of the biggest disappointments of the weekend. But they still are the runner-up for this week's box office. At number 3 is Aladdin. The live feature film stayed strong this weekend. They made $42 million last week. They only went down one spot to number 3. They made $24 million. They were a big reason it took some change out of The Secret Life of Pets 2, but it held strong. It even does better in foreign markets, but they come in at $24 million. At number 4 is Godzilla. Second week of this movie being in the box office, and it fell hard. Last week it made around $50 million. It fell all the way to $15 million, a drastic drop from last week. It was expected, and it continues to do well in foreign markets because that's what Godzilla movies do, but it goes all the way down to number 4. Then at number 5, it's actually probably one of the big winners of this week, is going to be Rocketman, starring Taron Egerton and Jamie Bell. I predicted last week it would stay at $15 million this week. It actually was just below my prediction. It went to $13 million. It stays strong. The Elton John biopic really doing really well in theaters. I'm hopefully going to see it this week and see what all the rave is about. But that is number 5, and that wraps up the top 5 standings of the box office results for this week. Now my thoughts for the June 7th through June 9th box office results. First, let's go over that big elephant in the room. Dark Phoenix, the last installment of the X-Men series by Fox, fell really hard. I mean, it was expected to bomb, but maybe not this bad. They made $32 million at the box office. They were expecting between 50 and 55 million. I predicted last week that was giving 45 million, but they made only 32. That makes them the lowest grossing opening weekend X-Men film of all time. It was lower than the Wolverine back in 2013. That film made 53 million in its opening weekend, but this one was 21 million short of that. Really, really disappointing. It really bombed 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, along with the Disney merger that's happening, which kind of points to the MCU gonna reboot the X-Men series. Really was the big downfall for this movie. And then also, the other thought is Secret Life of Pets 2 was easily the champion of this week. It was expected to. It did fall short. I was actually pretty short on my prediction. I predicted 75 million last week. It only came in at $46 million this week at the box office. But combine that with the fact that Aladdin probably did better in its third week than expected. It held strong at 24 million, kind of cut into those profits. And so that's why probably part of the reasons why it fell short. But it was the champion. It was expected to. And those are my box office thoughts for this week. And now the upcoming movies for June 14th. The first one going to be Men in Black International. starring Chris Hemsworth, who played Thor in the MCU, and Tessa Thompson, who played Valkyrie in the MCU. Those two already have some chemistry together in the film by the studio Sony look to be the box office champion. We'll get to that a little later, but they are probably the #1 big movie coming out this weekend. But given its competition is going to be Shaft, the action comedy starring Samuel L. Jackson, comes out this weekend. It is a sequel to the 2000 film version that came back out almost 20 years ago. The director is Tim Story, who did Ride Along 1 and 2. Those are the two big movies coming out for this weekend. Let's get Men in Black International under our belt. They will be the box office champion, but it will be the lowest opening weekend for the Men in Black franchise. The lowest was back in 1997, when Men in Black 1 came out. That had a $51 million opening, but this one will come in at $40 million to become the lowest grossing film opening weekend of any Men in Black franchise. Reboots haven't really been the best as of late in terms of box office results. Add to the fact that you still have the likes of Godzilla, Avengers Endgame is still out there. Add in the fact you had this weekend with X-Men, I think we'll still get, I think Life and Pets 2 will still do pretty well at the box office this weekend. I still think it will hold strong, which will take into some of those profits, but they will come in at #1. And now for my prediction for Shaft, the sequel to the 2000s film. Will do middling to solid. The studio wants it to equalize what the opening weekend for the film back in 2000 did. That was $21 million. I don't think they'll do that well in terms of opening weekend. I think I'm going to make a strong prediction at $15 million. Add in the fact that I think when you see all the advertising and just kind of the atmosphere of the movie, the feel around it, is that it kind of seems similar to Men in Black International in terms of it's an action movie. You got a strong character, Samuel Jackson, kind of comedic. Added the fact that it's kind of similar in nature in terms of action and comedy. So people are going to be like, what do I want to see when comparing those two? And it's probably going to be more of Men in Black International. So I think that will cut into its profits. Add in the fact that sequels and reboots, especially to a film that wasn't necessarily a big hit, it did gross $107 million in 2000, but it's not one of those things where people were really wanting a reboot or a sequel to. So added the fact into that, I don't think it will do as well as the 2000s version. So I'm going to come in with a solid, like before, $15 million. And that's going to wrap up another episode of Real Trends. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This weekend, I think I'll be going to see two movies. I think I'm going to see Rocket Man and Late Night. Late Night did really well, limited release last week, made a lot of money. The film by Amazon Studios is now coming to wide release, and so I think I'll be seeing that this weekend. So a couple of good ones. I'm hopeful they'll be good. Reviews have been solid for both of those films. Let me know in the comments what movies you're seeing this week, or if you want me to do a film review. Always more ideas for more videos, so just let me know if you are interested in doing that. As always, like, subscribe, and again, thank you so much for joining me here today. I've been your host, Geoff Exstrom. New video coming out, of course, every Wednesday, next week as well. So, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, see you later.